Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Outdoor Adventure Commission. We're going to go ahead and get started. I was watching the YouTube video of one of the last ones we had, and something that came to my mind is make sure when you're speaking to have your microphone close to you so that it gets picked up and everyone can hear you. I think it makes it a lot easier for those online and for the recording. We're going to go ahead and get started. We normally do a minute approval, but staff's still working on those minutes, so we're going to skip that for now. And we're going to dive straight into the 2025 project approvals for the Outdoor Recreation Initiative. And so we're going to start with the regional councils with the chairs of each council. We're going to start with the northern region with Don Taylor. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Don Taylor, chairman for that northern region, and I wanted to thank Carly for all the hard work she did keeping us on track and getting us nice ranking sheets, getting all the presentations put together. She was terrific. Want to obviously thank the Adventure Commission for such a great program. It's fun to be a part of this. And I also want to thank Councilman Hurd up in Cache County, who was on our committee, Mayor Peterson in North Logan City, and Commissioner Cox in Rich County. And then we also had a very large selection committee with a lot of different expertises that gave us a lot of great input during the process, and they were a big help. So to get started, looks like Northern Bonneville Shoreline Trails, number 1, up in North Logan. Obviously, phase 2, you'll probably remember you guys gave them money last year. They're very well organized, leveraging their funds, getting shovel ready. So for us, that was a no-brainer to go ahead and recommend full funding of their ask. So number 2 is the Bonneville Shoreline Master Trail Planning. Kind of a multi-regional Trails Utah. And, you know, we all saw the excitement the last few days over the Utah Trail Network. And there was a lot of talk in our northern region meetings about a backcountry, northern end of the state to southern end of the state trail also. So we really like that application and recommend funding the full amount on that also. Let's see, number 3, the Adaptive Trail Assessment Program. That's up in Summit County with the Mountain Trails Foundation. It's to go out and kind of inventory their trail system to see which ones might presently be wide enough for adaptive bicycles to use, and figure out what other trails could easily be brought up to that level and which ones probably would not be worth trying to even get to a certification level for adaptive bikes. We really like that program. We're hoping that it'll become a pilot program for the whole state to use, for people to go out and inventory their trail systems and decide, you know, which they can make adaptive certification on. So we recommended full amount of funding for their ask. So number 4, sorry, my list is different from this one. The Northern Utah Regional Long Range Recreation Plan, kind of touched on that with hoping to get more statewide planning done. Everybody in our group thought that was an excellent idea. We're hoping to be a part of that in one of our other applications here. So we recommended the full funding for that recreational planning. And it's great to have planning now available in a grant opportunity. That's something the recreation field has really missed. So kudos to you guys for finally getting some funds for that. Okay, number 5, the Nibley City Center Bike Park. It's also another phase, which we thought, you know, it's nice to keep the phases going. Their park is going to be ADA once again, so we think that's, you know, a great plan, and would recommend full funding for their ask. That's also up in South Logan. Okay, number 6 is the Little Creek Campground, engineering, redesign, and construction in Richfield, there by Randolph. It's a BLM project. We like that it's near the Shoshone Motorized Trail. So this is the first opportunity we've seen for some money to go towards motorized trail usage. We did kind of have some concerns with their budget in that it's a small campground and it needs to be rebuilt, but they had a lot of money in design costs. So we kind of recommended maybe a partial funding on that one if funds are tight. Number 7, Snake Creek to Soldier Hollow Connector Trail. That's up in the Heber Valley with the Wasatch Trails Foundation and Wasatch Mountain State Park. The whole trail's in the state park. It connects the northern end, which is all the Dutch Hollow Trail System, Visitor Center Trail. It would connect clear down to Soldier Hollow, which is the Olympic venue, and their trail system. It also provides a big long section of north and south trail, which, as I was mentioning earlier about if we're trying to get a north-south trail in the whole state, it could be a nice section of that. It's a small ask. Let's see, Carly, I think we found out she got a little more money, so it dropped from the 65,000 ask to only 40,000. So pretty much another no-brainer that we would recommend to you guys to fund. Let's see, number 8, Muirfield Park expansion. That's also up in the Heber Valley. It's an existing park that they're adding on to with a nice wetlands area and a pond. The council kind of thought that maybe it would be better if they applied for some of this funding through the Lands and Water Conservation Fund, or maybe even the Community Parks and Rec Grant. So we're only recommending partial funding on that one. Part of the design and addition is a paved trail and boardwalk through the wetlands with educational signage and benches and stuff. And that part of it was $1,125,000. So that would be our recommendation instead of their full $2.6 million. Number 9, Grandview Park property acquisition, Providence City. We also had some similar concerns on this one, City Park, which is great, but they were looking for purchasing a lot of the property, and it looked like it was at appraised value, and it seemed like there would be opportunities to work with the developer to get it cheaper. They were also looking at some property in a power line, and to us it seemed like having a easement rather than property acquisition made more sense. So anyway, we're recommending partial funding on that one. Their most important priority parcel to really get the park up and going was $550,000. So to us, that's the minimum amount. And if there's more money, great, but that's up to you guys. So any questions I can answer?
I have a question. So on several of these you mentioned that, oh, sorry. I think I'd know by now. Slow learner, I guess. On several of these you mentioned partial funding. Have you already done the outreach, I guess, to determine that even with partial funding, if these projects could go forward?
We have not. That's just our recommendation. If you guys decide, to go that route or fully fund it, then we've talked about going back a couple of them. There's alternatives like the Land and Water Fund and the Community Parks and Rec grants that we could recommend that we thought would be more appropriate than this money. Some of it wasn't really recreation oriented, so it's not a knock against their ask. It's more, we just think it would be more efficient to spend the funds for recreation on some of them.
Okay, thank you.
And if I can add there, it might help inform kind of other discussions later. We did capture in the application partial funding requests. So we have like, what's your full request amount, what's a partial request amount, and then ask for language detailing what that partial amount would cover, just so we could have more information to make those decisions. So,
yeah, that's important. The amounts I'm throwing out here are from their applications.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the commission? All right, I'm going to ask if there's anyone from the public that would like to comment on any of these projects. All right, it doesn't look like it. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes,
a
go ahead.
logistical issue. I noticed this when I was joining while driving in, and I just got a message from Commissioner Hinton. She is online as a viewer only, so she can't use her mic. So I don't know if there's a way for the staff to promote her. But
Good to know. We'll see if somebody can start working on that.
I think her access was just changed to be a contributor. Thank you for catching that.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Wasatch Front with Matt Ryan now.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Hello, for those I haven't met, my name is Matt Ryan. I chair the Ranking Council and General Council for the Wasatch Front region of the Outdoor Rec Initiative, and appreciate Patrick and everyone accommodating me online too. I actually have more of a time crunch than I anticipated. So once I finish presenting, I will defer to Patrick and also Commissioner Bradshaw for any further questions. But with that, I will jump into it. So as far as the Wasatch Front region of the ORI, we had 14 projects to review with a total request of nearly 18 million. After review, we recommended funding 8 of these projects at about a total award of 4.4 million. And it's already come up, but yeah, we also had to negotiate, partial versus full funding depending on the scope and scale of the project. And we also considered what other resources may be available too. With some of these projects that we may not have recommended also have opportunity within the division somewhere else, maybe with the Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant. As for our first recommendation, we'd like to recommend the Mapleton City South Valley Regional Bike Park. We aren't recommending a full amount here, but this project will still be a huge regional asset. It will span nearly 50 acres and feature a diverse array of trails with varying difficulties, open spaces, some paved trails as well. And then this project will also serve as a site just for, people around the local community to develop bike skills, to gather, to just enjoy open space. And we recommend allocating 1.5 million to this project. Next, we have Bonneville Shoreline Trail Master Planning. As I understand it, this actually touches on a couple other regions within the Outdoor Rec Initiative. And for our portion, we would like to request $26,666.67. Essentially, this plan would go through the mapping, developing a strategy for implementation, as well as producing a list of priority projects, which is absolutely critical for such a, nationally renowned trail that spans, all throughout, the Wasatch Front. And I think we all think as the Ranking Council, this would have a lot of weight and a lot of impact. Next, we actually have another Bonneville Shoreline Trail project, this one being for engineering and design at Bear Canyon as well as Shepherd Creek. We recommend the full amount of funding for this project. And I think it also jumps a pretty sizable hurdle, bringing U.S. Forest Service to the table as well and helping, really get the design and engineering plans for 2 major barriers to connectivity on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. And with that, we're recommending that we allocate $200,000 to this project. Next, we have the Jordan River Water Trail Restoration and Recreation Project. You know, much like the BST, this is a huge asset for our region and it deserves, you know, equal attention. This is looking more at restoring the river's function and improving, you know, community experience along the river in Salt Lake City. Another benefit of this one is that it is project ready or shovel ready, excuse me, and also has a significant scope. And we hope that, you know, with funding this, it will inspire neighboring communities to take stock in their, you know, this beautiful waterway and try to make it better. For this one, we're recommending $666,000 allocated to this project. Next, we have a feasibility study and master plan creation for Utah Lake. The Utah Lake Authority actually submitted two requests on behalf of this region, and we decided to recommend the study versus the restoration aspect because I would think that the restoration project might have opportunities elsewhere. We recommend funding half of their initial requests, and they've also given us, you know, or told us that they have some flexibility in how they use the funds. And there's numerous sites around the lake that they could put this money towards planning. And it seems like they're very flexible and just wanting to make improvements wherever they can with this project. The total ask and what we're recommending here is $327,500. Next, we have West Thorpe Hills Campground Engineering and Design, not far from 5 Mile Pass. Our recommendation here is also partial, and we hope that the Bureau of Land Management can also help secure additional funding to maintain the project in its original scope. It's also a great aspect that the projects who submitted for this are very much interested in enhancing the OHV partnerships that can come out of this, you know, especially spurring more economic impact in Tooele County. And I think it's just a great way to support the community and also just provide more access to the outdoors and camping opportunities close to both Tooele, Salt Lake, and Utah counties. We're recommending for this one, $350,000 be allocated to this project. Next, we have Bluffdale Regional Park land purchase. This is actually the only land acquisition we received in our whole batch of project requests. And we recommend partially funding it at, let's see, about $700,000. And, you know, with the growth that's happening in the southwest portion of Salt Lake County, the need to conserve open space will be just becomes more increasingly important. And, you know, this also has an effect on trails, you know, accessing Butterfield Canyon. So it kind of serves that dual use of being a congregation site as well as a jumping off point to some more natural lands in that corner of our region. But with that being partially funded, we insist that, you know, Salt Lake County do try to purchase the entire 21-acre parcel. And I'm not sure where discussion is on that at this time. And last but not least, we have a Salt Lake City Creek daylighting at Folsom Trail. This is a design project that was originally introduced from the 7 Greenways, as well as Salt Lake City themselves. It would have a tremendous benefit for, you know, Salt Lake City residents and visitors, really highlight the natural, you know, all these natural components that make our valley so great, and also coincides with the upcoming Olympics, as well as, you know, future talks about developing the power district just nearby. The request came in at about 1.1 million, but we want to recommend just over half of that at 600,000. And we, you know, say this in the hopes that they will do and take the necessary steps to reach their 60% design milestone. we hope that they can also use some of this funding to leverage additional support to just continue to further the plan and make it a reality. And the scope of this plan focuses on, 2 blocks between 800 West and 1,000 West over on the west side of Salt Lake City. But it was a very competitive year for us. We were really impressed with the amount of proposals that we received. It was a very extensive discussion on, how do we fund these, how much, what's the impact, and so it was a really hard decision. And we really are excited to see a lot of regional resources like the BST and the Jordan River and Utah Lake receive needed support. So I think these projects and the recommended amounts will have a lot of impact. But I just want to thank, before I hop off, our general counsel. Very important to always have a pulse on what's happening and what the recreation needs are around our Wasatch Front region, but also our ranking council too, with Commissioner Brandon Gordon, Commissioner Bob Stevenson, Commissioner Bradshaw. Thank you for being there, and also Council Member Melanie Paxton with Elk Ridge City. It wouldn't have been, it would have been way tougher without all of these folks here to share their important insight. And obviously, thank you too, Patrick. You were instrumental in making this happen. So with that, I will pass it off.
All right, thank you, Matt. We appreciate it. Is there? I have a question about some of the things that didn't make the cut. Why didn't 27th Street make the cut? There in Ogden, off that trailhead. Could you put on your microphone, Commissioner Bradshaw? Thank you.
Yeah. So the Wasatch Front region is obviously a very densely populated region, and we frankly just had more requests than we had dollars. We were told to come in at 4, and we came in just a hair over. And so things that needed to be trimmed were unfortunate, but still great projects. So there isn't anything on the list that I would say is not a great project. Overall, I would just tell you that there were multiple projects that involved Utah Lake in Utah County, and so you saw there that there's a project that we recommended that was it seemed like we could kind of get the most bang for the buck in that regard. There were 2 that involved Salt Lake City, one that was ranked higher than the other. We had a great discussion about whether that was too much to do those 2. Really not any reason necessarily that the 27th Street, except for that it maybe felt a little more park related. And kind of try to be aware of some of that creep. I don't know, Patrick, if you remember any other additional conversations about that one in particular.
Yeah, I'm happy to add a little more context as well. And thank you, Commissioner Bradshaw. This one, so to give you the full background, this is eligible for UORG, and they had applied for UORG. They did not receive funding there. As we talked about this one, I mean, it's a beautiful project. I think it's ambitious. It's well needed. But there was a little confusion in the budget as well, because a lot of it seemed like they're in the middle of phase 1, and this is phase 1 and phase 2 funding, and so there was some uncertainty about like where the money was going to be plugged in relative to the work they're doing currently, and then also there is the hope that this is a perfect opportunity to apply for UORG funding coming next year as well.
Got it. Thank you.
I'll just add, that's what we try to bill this account and this money for, is projects that don't typically fit into one of our grant categories like this one would. So that may have also been a factor that was weighed into. There are other funding sources for this one, whereas the ones that scored above it, maybe this is the only chance for them to get money.
Got it. Appreciate it. All right. Is there anyone from the public that would like to or any other from the commission that would like to comment on it?
Well, if you don't mind, I don't want to belabor, projects that didn't make the cut, but any comments on the Great Salt Lake Preserve application as well with Nature Conservancy? I guess I'll explain why I ask, just with the emphasis on Great Salt Lake. I know it's more education in my eyes, the shoreland preserves, but see value in that, so just curious.
it was a large dollar amount that they wanted, and it was obviously a restoration of infrastructure rather than new infrastructure. It was, I would say, probably more a function of just we only had 4 million, and their ask was would have taken almost half of that amount. And so in trying to just be strategic about which projects would leverage additional funding amounts and open up like bigger swaths of projects to get completed, I don't know. I'd say I'd advocate that the Wasatch region get more funding next year allocated to it, because it was, you can see that our list, we had more that probably fell below the line than anyone else. And it's because they were, we had a lot of dollars asked for and just not as many to allocate. And that's quite frankly why we went to partial fundings on some of them as well, is to try and provide a boost or an opportunity to do a chunk of a project if we couldn't do the full thing.
I had the same question, but I kind of looked into it and looked at what it was. Like, that's really expensive for a boardwalk. So, but yeah, good point.
And I'm happy to add just one more bit of context on that one as well. And I think Commissioner Bradshaw really summed it up well. But I think that, as we talked about the last one with UORG, like, there's available funding. I think there was kind of the assumption that there's going to be a lot more money available for infrastructure centered around the Great Salt Lake. Legislature has supported it pretty generously over the past couple of years. And so I think that's the expectation there as well.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question about another line item.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. Commissioner Hartley.
You can call me Jeff. Thanks. On the recommendation number 5 on the Utah Lake Authority's request, I'm curious how the request for funding for a master plan creation differs from the management plan that the Utah Lake Authority adopted in January of 2024, almost 2 years ago, which has been well funded by the legislature in the past. And I don't know how this would differ from the master plan that was already adopted, or why there's need for this kind of funding for what I think was already done.
So as I understand it, and I'll let Patrick chime in if I get this wrong. So this then identified, I would say this is like the next level after the kind of high level, very broad Utah Lake master plan funding. This went into very specific areas of the lake, and I identified certain boat launches or state parks or different things along the lake. And particularly these were, there was a handful in the south end, but some others along the lake. And so we gave this one a partials, thinking they could select certain areas to then do almost more of a getting in towards maybe like an implementation plan for these specific areas versus a very broad whole lake strategic plan. Patrick, did I miss any of that?
No, I think that was good. Yeah, and I put up, so they gave somewhat of like an a la carte menu for some of these sites that they're identifying as opportunities for just that further step in planning, where they can actually get to kind of maybe a design stage. And so you can see it's kind of spread around. But yeah, this is, whereas the master plan is really looking at the whole thing in its entirety, this is really site specific, getting shovel ready on those.
Patrick, do you know if then the Utah Lake Authority doesn't intend to go back to the legislature for direct appropriations, and this is something that needs to be filled otherwise?
That's a good question. I don't know that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from the commission? All right, are there any questions from the public or comments? All right, we'll move on to the Central Region with Jared Brock-Jackson.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brock Jackson. I'm the chair of the Central Region. I'm a community advisor with R6 Regional Council. Like the other presenters have indicated, a huge thank you to state staff. They do a great job. So really appreciate all their work and effort into making this program a success, as well as my general counsel and selection council as well. So our region, we had a total of 5 projects that we are recommending for funding. And we'll just start at the top. So Fish Lake Basin Recreation Enhancement Project, a total ask of $1,478,000. This is a pretty broad in scope with what the project will accomplish. They're looking to include around 8.1 miles of e-bike trail. If you've ever been down to Fish Lake, it'll go above the lake. A really nice trail system they're going to be putting in there, along with some new trail heads for an existing equestrian trail, some education interpretation site. That's where they have the some great interactive education elements to it as well. And then some snowmobiling, so a new trailhead and avalanche beacon check site, as well as some kind of jumping points for year-round fishing access. Fish Lake sees quite a bit of action with ice fishing down there, so pretty broad in scope. We chose to award the requested amount of that $1,478,000. The next project on that we recommended, number 2, is the Snowland Recreation and Education area. So there's in Fairview Canyon, there's a snowland ski area that's kind of been out of commission for quite some time. It was originally founded in 1967. I think the governor has said that he's learned to ski in this area, but it's been pretty dormant. It gets leased to Wasatch Academy. There's a lot of, with this project, a lot of partners and folks interested in this project. They've set up a board, really well organized nonprofit board for this area. And so the grant is asking, or excuse me, this application is asking for $1,460,000 for primarily a ski lift installation. And there's a big safety element to this application. I guess they typically drive them up the road and drop them off, and there's a lot of traffic. So this kind of has a safety element. There's other things involved in this project overall, like restoring the historic recreation area, the lodge, replacing old improvements. But primarily for the funding request of this grant, it'd be this surface lift, along with some other amenities. And we chose to award that for the requested amount. The third application or project is the North Sevier Active Transportation Trail Phase 3. If you've been down to Sevier County, the county's done a great job with a master trail system, paved master trail system throughout the entire county, with the goal of connecting them all together. So this is a project that advances Phase 3 of that trail system. So they have some other funding from other stakeholders like UDOT, but in partnership with Aurora City, Salina City, and UDOT, it will be filling in the gap of where there needs to be some trails. So a 10-foot wide paved path connecting Aurora and Salina. So the main trail is already secured, but an additional $829,000 is what's being asked. To build 2 pedestrian bridges across Salina Creek and the Sevier River, along with their short connector path to address critical safety concerns along US 50. So a safety element project and kind of tie that system in the North Sevier County area. A lot of work and great work's been done with the county on this, so that would just fill the need there. We've chosen to award that at the full ask of $829,000. The fourth project is the Salina City Motocross/mountain bike design and feasibility study. So Salina purchased some 80 acres of trust lands with the intent of putting in a motocross/mountain bike/BMX facilities next to the Black Hawk Arena. So this project is seeking funding for a design and feasibility study of the proposed project, proposed motocross/mountain bike/BMX project area right next to Salina City. And so they asked, we chose to recommend the funding of $262,500 for that project. And then last but not least, is the Wasatch Front, I believe, already kind of highlighted this project to some degree, but the Bonneville Shoreline Trail Master Planning, getting some mapping done, some GIS work done for the trail. The trail system does go down into Juab County, which is within the central region. And so they're asking kind of, it's split between a few different regions. So they're asking the $26,666.67. So propose, as you kind of already heard, 300 mile long trail with the statewide significance. So this is kind of the area within or the trail, the scope of the project that's within our region. So that we chose to fund that for that ask that's been split into our region as well. I went through that pretty quick. What are there? I think that's all I have for our region and our projects. I'll open it up to any questions.
Yeah, just one question on Snowland. I know that they have already had a ribbon cutting, and they've got great partners and some really good in-kind. Any discussion, or do they have any update at all on their private fundraising efforts or their insurance pursuit? Those are two items that really came up during the UORG grant scoring process that the committee that I chair that awards UORG grants, they were particularly concerned about and almost sort of had a contingency on. So just wondering if there's any insight there.
Yeah, and maybe state staff that attended the meeting could correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there was any mention about insurance during their presentation, or anything else that addressed any of that with that initial question you had. I don't believe there was any conversation about that. It was mostly just focused on this. They do have a lot of work and a lot of partners, and it sounds like a great board. It was some work with that ribbon cutting. I think there's a lot of moving parts in this one with a lot of in-kind and partnerships. They did emphasize keeping it accessible and safe, I think, to be a regional asset that can be accessed by everybody, right? Keeping it cheap for folks in the region and statewide. So, but they didn't mention anything on the insurance or otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. Brock, you cover all of R6, correct?
Yes, I do.
I was just wondering, I noticed just 2 counties on here that have participated right now. Were the other counties involved, or do we need to light a fire under them, or what do we need to do? Because there's great recreational opportunities in those other counties.
Yeah, that's a great point, Commissioner Taylor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think, state staff could allude to this. We're in the middle of a Central Utah outdoor recreation plan, trying to gather data. So I think it is a combination of lighting the fire. We've really tried to get our communities, thinking big and identifying. So I think it's just a matter of time of kind of thinking through some things, and hopefully that plan will guide that conversation. But you're right, the council was really aware of, you can see Sevier and Sanpete, but we do have great recreational facilities that are accessed by everybody statewide, right? So Wayne County and Paiute and Juab and the rest, but and Millard, right? But there are opportunities, there are needs. It's just a matter of lighting the fire and really focusing, honing in on what needs to be done or where to invest those resources, right? So although we were the fewest in our region, I would hope that the commission takes into account that the central part of the state really is a great area with a lot of opportunities to improve. It's just I think it'll come. I'm not sure that answers your question directly, but I think there's a lot of we're trying to get more projects down the pipeline, and hoping the planning efforts realize that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, and Commissioner Taylor, thanks for asking. That's an important question, and I think that's really what inspired the push for the long-term planning last year. Was like, we need to get these people, the support they need to be able to have some great projects. So, thank you.
And just also, I did receive a staff update that the insurance certificate was submitted by Snowland. So now it's just kind of a matter of just to make the commission aware. The UOR grant does require matching funds. Whether or not this body should be using state funds to help them meet that match is a question for the commission.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional comments? Or any from the commission, or any comments from the public? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll move on to the Eastern region then with the Chair Jade Powell. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having us here, and thank you for hearing about our projects. My name is Jade Powell. I'm the Deputy Director at the Southeastern Regional Development Agency. The Eastern region is made up of CERTA's region as well as the Uinta Basin AOG's region. So there's 7 counties across the Eastern region. I'm happy to say that all 7 counties had applied for this funding. Unfortunately, we're awarding 6 of those counties or projects in 6 of the 7 counties. We had a total of 13 projects from our region apply with a total ask of just over, or a total amount requested just over $14 million between all 13 projects. And through the committee, we went through each project and reviewed their application along with the reduced amount that they could do to make sure the project happened, and is offering these 10 projects at a total award amount of $4.9 million for all 10 projects. And they range anywhere from trail maintenance to community facilities to big infrastructure projects across some of our public lands, across federal lands. And so with it, these are our top 10, and they are in order of our ranking committee of who got the highest to the lowest. We're recommending the Uinta Trail Maintenance Project for their full request of $610,000. They are to replace and perform maintenance on over 100 miles of trails in the high Uintas. They have a lot of partners through Utah State, the Horseman Group, the Backpacking Group, and a lot of community nonprofits coming together to make this project happen. So that's why we felt good approving their request in full. The next one will be to Grand County for $345,000, and it's to improve enhancements at 2 campgrounds and 1 trailhead, the Corona Arch Trailhead, the Goose Island, and Horse Thief campgrounds. And this project's in partnership with UDOT to do some of the trailhead expansions and parking lot expansions, as well as some egress onto the main road from the campgrounds and from the trailhead facility. The Lloyd's Lake Community Enhancement Project is a project by the city of Monticello. We are suggesting that they are funded in full of $1.12 million to do some upgrades to a reservoir that's nearby and a trail that goes along the reservoir. Mainly what they will be doing is upgrading the path and bridges and access points to be safer and ADA accessible for their communities, for their community members. Our 4th project is the Flaming Gorge waterline replacement for one of their partial requests of $580,000. This will do the Greendale waterline infrastructure, which will connect and restore water service to the Red Canyon Visitor Center, something that's important to the area there in Daggett County, is to get the water back to their visitor center. And so that the slimmed down funding amount will at least do that portion of the project. The Carbon County Recreation Hub is a project in Carbon County to do a disc golf course throughout their fairgrounds and in and around their event center, softball fields, motocross track, ice skating rink, and some other outdoor recreation amenities. And so connecting all of them. Blanding City is for $900,000. They had a total ask of $1.3 million. We're recommending an award of $950,000 to do a bicycle pump track right there. As you come into Blanding City, there's a visitor center right off to the left-hand side of the road. And so there at the visitor center is behind that will be a pump track, an asphalt pump track with some jumps and some trainings and things like that, just to get the youth involved in their community and in the biking realm. And then the Sheep Creek non-motorized launch dock, this is actually to do a study. And it would be the engineering study to do ADA accessibility and user friendliness to get it more safe for non-motorized people at the Sheep Creek launch dock. Emerytown requested 1.3 million. We're suggesting 500,000, and this will be for some of their phases. They've already received some CDBG funds to redo some of their facilities there in the town of Emory, and so this will just be part of that next step. They did apply for UORG and was not awarded, so that's why they submitted an application to this group. And so we're hopeful that this will get them to the next step. The project number 9, the Carbon County Rock Crawler Trails, is a NEPA study that we're fully funded them for $95,000 to do that NEPA to expand some of their trails in and around Carbon County. And then the last one is the Wedge Recreation Sustainable Development, which is out there on the Santa Fe Swell, particularly at the Wedge, would be some campground expansions, and the funding for 397,000 is what we're suggesting to award. Will be to secure some lands and develop some of that campgrounds, which will be there in and around the Wedge. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that presentation. Are there any questions from the commission or any comments? Are there? I guess you were very thorough. Thank you. We'll see if are there any comments from the public. All right. Thank you very much, Jade. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move to the Southwestern region with Chair Nate Wiberg.
All right. Thank you for having me and allowing for such a great regional prioritization process. My name is Nate Wiberg. I work for 5 County Association of Governments, and I've been tasked to be the chair of the Southwest region. The South region received 10 project proposals with a total request of approximately $11 million. We are recommending that 8 of those proposals receive at least some level of funding, totaling $4,980,700 in funding. We tried to be as close to the $4 million mark as possible, and we are very close to that. Most of our funds are going to infrastructure projects, but we are recommending at least one of each type of project, which is planning, infrastructure, and land acquisition. With these recommendations, we are committed to spreading the funds around the region and are excited to see that every county in the region is recommended to receive funding. Of course, these were difficult decisions, and partially funding project versus fully funding projects was seriously discussed. It was particularly helpful when applicants identified specific partial funding dollar values, which made the process a lot more meaningful for the group. Our projects, in order from the top ranked project down until the funding ran out, are number 1, the Sand Caves Trailhead Restroom Project, which is a few miles north of Kanab. This is a small ask, but one we feel is very important. Though this year our council did discuss the issue of bathrooms, which we had many discussions about bathrooms in recreation areas across the region. It is a clear need. This specific project has not had support from other grant programs, so we felt it should be a priority. This is a critical asset for visitors around the sand caves, as there's no bathrooms nearby. There's also not it's a heavily visited area, receiving people from the Sand Caves, Kanab, Best Friends, and other locations. This is an increasingly busy spot. The current maintenance requirements for porta potty is becoming incredibly expensive for our county to deal with, or Kane County to deal with. And this will be a sustainable and more affordable bathroom option. We recommend $70,000 for this project. Project number 2, Sheep Bridge Road underpasses. We recommended full funding at $460,650. Initially, this project came in much higher than that, but Washington County found some innovative ways to bring that cost almost in half. Restrictions will soon be placed on State Route 9 in Zion for oversized vehicles, and it is clear that Sheep Bridge Road is going to see much more vehicle traffic in the coming months and years. The areas around Sheep Bridge Road are heavily visited, and numerous trail systems cross this road as well. These underpasses will go a long way in supporting safety and increase the recreation experience. Washington County is working to improve and pave Sheep Bridge Road within the next year, and we would like to support that work by recommending this recreation focused element. It's going to be a huge benefit to not only Washington County, but the whole region as visitors come through here. The visitors that come through here come to other counties as well. Project number 3, the Southwestern Utah Recreation Feasibility Study. This will be a long-range recreation planning project, which is critical to identifying projects, planning, and prioritizing recreational projects, which will ultimately aid in funding projects at the local, regional, and state level. We understand how important this planning is to help guide local and state investments. We would like to recommend $200,000 for the Southwest region's recreational feasibility study, as has been done with the Central region, which they've demonstrated is a great planning process. We would ask the Division of Outdoor Recreation to serve as the contracting entity and support the project management, much like they have in the Central region, excuse me. We trust their management and are excited to give our region this opportunity. Number 4, Canara Falls Parking Expansion Project. This, for those who are not familiar with Canara Falls, this project is located in Canaraville Town, which is a small town, and Canara Falls is a great impact to that. This was our only land acquisition request, and we would like to recommend this project for full funding at $775,000. This is an incredibly important resource for Canaraville and the region. This is actually considered a true destination for visitors across the state and country. There is a great partnership here that we want to support that includes Canaraville Town, BLM, and SITLA, as well as local guides and outfitters who access the falls. One priority we are happy to see is that the general public use is increased, and the permitted hike and guides permitted is increased as well. Number 5. Maybe I want to talk a little bit more about the Canaraville project as well. This is an expansion project, so this is a piece of land that they're acquiring, which has a facility on it that they'll be able to use for increased parking and as well as a few other things. So let's go to number 5 now. Improving visitor experience at Bryce Point. We are recommending this project with full funding at $250,000. They are leveraging funds well on this project. This will support the design of an important shared use path gap connection, which will connect the entire park and Bryce Canyon City. The funding will also support the installation of a vault toilet. Number 6, Dixie National Forest Campground Utility System Restoration Project. This is the only project from the U.S. Forest Service that we are recommending funding for, but we are excited to see their progress on previous years' outdoor recreation initiative funding in our region. This is a project to help restore important utilities across the region, and we think this type of project, while incredibly important, can be difficult to find funding for. Their full request was almost $2 million. Our recommendation for this project is $803,700. And we would like that funding to be directed toward Pine Valley and Panguitch Lake, which was partially funded, and one we feel will benefit the region after the flash floods in the area around Pine Valley, as well as support for an additional Garfield County asset near Bryce Canyon. Coal Creek Campground is number 7. This was our only project proposed from the BLM, and we feel there is a lot of alignment with our priorities here. More camping is always needed, and particularly in Cedar Canyon, as Cedar City is heavily traveled with a growing population. It is also going to be a great local asset for residents in Cedar City who have close to home options. We are recommending full funding at $1.303 million. Last one, Beaver County's Puffer Lake Recreation Area. Our final recommendation for this project is this project to support Beaver County's Puffer Lake site. Their request was for $2 million, and our recommendation is a partial award of $500,000. Considering the investment, this fund has given to the site of $4 million for acquisition. We do want to continue to support, but also hope that Beaver County can find additional funding sources for this work. We were impressed with the plans to turn this site into a recreational asset, including a lodge as a centerpiece for activation and economic development. We hope this $500,000 can be used to get started on this work, and would welcome additional requests in the future, as well as suggestions from Beaver County to look out for other funding sources to complement this funding contribution. That's all of our recommended. That fills up the just over the $4 million that we were asked to find funding for. Does anybody have questions?
Let's go ahead, Commissioner Bradshaw.
Thank you. My question is about, you have 3 national forest request projects in the Dixie National Forest, and you picked one. And I understand the pressures, since I served in a different region, of having to pick favorite children. I was curious if this was a commission selected project to elevate the campground utility system, or if the Forest Service had ranked them for you as 1, 2, 3, and that's why you selected it.
I don't recall the Forest Service ranking these for us. This was a commission selection. There's several reasons why our committee wanted to see this moved up. One of those is that the recent fires in Pine Valley and the large rains that we've had have caused a lot of damage to the Pine Valley area, which is very needed right now.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the commission? Yeah, I have some. As a father of 5 children, I appreciate the focus on restrooms and recreation areas. I think that was right on the money for what's needed. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Are there any comments from the public? All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 4.
If I may, I've been told by our the people that set up the audio visual for this room that if you are a member of the public and you do like to comment, please raise your hand online, your Google hand, if you will, so that we can grant you privileges to speak. Oh. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, we have we're gonna go to Representative Schellenberger here for a sec.
You still there, Nate? Is that Nate?
It is. Nate, come on back for a sec.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you.
Thanks. A quick question about two of the projects that weren't chosen. I think those were projects that had previously received funding through this group in years past. By not receiving funding, or could you speak to that? I don't know if someone in this room or you can, that like, do those projects sort of just go on hold, or are they still are they working? Are they functioning and they're just trying to improve them, or are they sort of just at a standstill now that they don't get additional funding?
So maybe Patrick can answer this a little better than I can, as I don't recall whether they've received funding from any of these state funding sources through outdoor recreation. But these are well-used areas. Duck Creek Campground and Navajo Lake Campgrounds are pretty heavily used, especially during the summer months, and they are great projects. They are currently being used, though, as far as my knowledge, and just need a lot of improvements to meet the demands of those areas. Patrick, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. Thank you, Nate. Yeah, so the Duck Creek did receive funding the first year, and Spruces, Navajo are, from what I understand, just right next to each other. And so Duck Creek is progressing well. They've paid down, they're making so this was actually kind of looking at a continuation of the work that they're doing, and I'm not going to speak for the committee, but I think they thought, maybe the utility work is going to be the important stuff. They still have a little balance on those contracts to kind of wrap up those projects. So it's a matter of just kind of finishing those and then coming back when you're done. So.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I think that wraps it up. Nate, thanks. All right, now we'll move to agenda item number 4.
I think Commissioner Goonan had her hand up online.
Thank you, Carly. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I just had a comment about the Dixie National Forest projects. I don't think it will impede the current projects. They're kind of doing them in phases. So like the Duck Creek Campground, for example, they focused on one particular campground loop. So that loop will be operational. I think they were seeking funding to expand that project. So not being recommended for funding this round should not negatively affect the successful completion of those previously funded projects.
And just by way of information, yeah, both of them, Duck Creek and Navajo Lake, both received funding from ORI last year, about $700,000 and about $400,000 respectively.
Okay, thank you. Last chance to comment on. All right, we're going to agenda item number 4. The outdoor. We're going to talk about the outdoor recreation planning assistance requests. Is that Emily? Okay, go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Emily Meadows. I'm the outdoor recreation planning coordinator for the division, and this outdoor recreation planning assistance program. Last year we were allocated $1.5 million through the Outdoor Adventure Commission to set aside from this funding source, and we were able to relaunch ORPA, this program, as a grant opportunity with that $1.5 million. This was really to focus in on more local communities, but it can fund, most of the projects that were funded were master planning, recreation plans, feasibility studies, etc. The program is really to help, like I said, build the capacity at the local level, because a lot of these rural, local, small towns don't have planners, let alone recreation planners. And so this funding source was awarded to 21 different communities for its first cycle, and really to help them partner with consultants to help them do the planning work. So we saw a huge, if you go to the next slide, please. Just a huge demand. Over 43 applications came in with a total of $4.5 million of requests. And like I mentioned, 21 of those were awarded funds across 13 different counties. So we do definitely see a huge demand in planning resources. So we are here to just make a request again of a recommendation of $2.5 million being allocated toward the ORPA program to run the grant again, but also set aside some of the funds to contract with outside resources to build some resources for communities, such as a trails design handbook that the division will be creating, and then utilizing services to create these resources for the communities across Utah. Any questions? Yeah.
Sorry, just this is probably a very basic question. But as I look at this list of projects that we just reviewed, there was 8, 10, like 12 projects that included feasibility studies, and obviously design is separate, right, than what this would do. But I do see that they're saying feasibility and trail alignments in here. Is there, like, should we be considering them differently, or it's just a thought process, right?
Yeah, I asked the same question before the meeting, but
I'm always a couple.
Can I
let's go have
can I put in
Director.
a little bit of context and information to answer that question? Because, initially, the way that ORPA was worked is it was our staff time being able to put towards planning, and because what we had found at that time is that there's a, the market for recreation planners is a little bit short, and so we considered how much it would take for us to employ a team of planners to be able to carry that work out into communities. That wasn't feasible. We didn't want to do that. So we accomplished 2 things with this, and that's the capacity, and then also not creating new branch of state government. But I think the fact that there are a lot of projects that are planning based on these regional lists underscores the importance for us to be able to administer that on a state level, because we want to be able to do it, fairly nimbly and not have to just do it on an annual basis. And this is a lot more flexible.
Yeah, and I would say the funding of the, that the Outdoor Adventure Commission is approving is the only funding legislatively in code that allows for planning. So while ORPA, it also allows for NEPA feasibility, and we're probably internally having conversations as well as to, do we separate them? Do we keep them together? Because ORI, we want to keep flexible as well. But kind of some people that didn't get awarded an ORPA, then they came and applied to ORI and did get recommended. So it's kind of why you see it in both of the programs.
Right. And you mentioned you're going to be building some kind of training and an outline for people to kind of figure this out on their own, right?
Yeah, the goal is to really, like I said, not only provide the grant opportunity, but really build out resources to empower communities to educate, whether, just a council person wanted to try and get started in something, or they wanted to start developing design of trails. These 2 handbooks would really help enhance the resources for communities to get started on their own.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think that could be a huge resources for different communities.
And if I may too, Emily's an underrated resource as well. A lot of the communities that apply and then are awarded the ORPA resources, they might not know how to go through the contracting process and what to look for in terms of a good consultant. So Emily's doing a lot of coaching for our small communities as well. But one thing that Patrick and I wanted to mention is that in coming to the commission to request funding for ORPA, again, it's so that we can help kind of clarify and point in the future for hard infrastructure costs to come through the commission in these ranked regional council conversations, so that we can kind of differentiate kind of the non-infrastructure, so the NEPA design, and kind of separate it out in the future so that we can assess the demand a little bit better and have a little bit of a simplicity for you all as decision makers, so you're not comparing apples to oranges. It's more so infrastructure against infrastructure, and then kind of planning, feasibility, design, all of those in a different category. So that's kind of the hope that we had in coming to you all with this request. Hopefully that helps.
I have a question, Emily. I love the idea of you all preparing a handbook or guidebook for smaller communities, because a lot of smaller communities don't have the funds to have a planning division, especially for trails. Are you going to incorporate into that consultancy with some of the cities or counties that do have successful programs. For example, Draper City has a robust trail system. They have dedicated a lot of resources in the past. They have conservation easements in place with Salt Lake County. They've done a lot with trail design, and they know a lot about trail maintenance. It'd be a great opportunity to get some input from them. And I'm sure there are other communities as well, but I know Draper has that available.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all about not reinventing the wheel and utilizing state funds as efficiently as possible. So we'll definitely, that's kind of our next step, is to reach out to those communities who are kind of more mature, could you say, in like their trail development, recreation planning, and learn from them, use the resources they've already built, and see how it applies to the more rural communities as well.
Yeah, and one quick comment. Thank you. As I look at some of the towns on here, specifically Springdale and Apple Valley, talking about the apples and oranges, some of them have like other historical struggles that, you know, make it really hard to focus on a master plan, a trail, a recreation plan. And so being able to step in and provide some of that assistance is huge in these communities. So it's hard to overstate the importance of some of these projects.
Just one more thing up. We're just asking the commission to allow the division and our planning staff a little bit of flexibility and trust to be able to administer a few of these funds out in a planning realm.
Commissioner Bradshaw.
Thanks. As I mentioned in our last meeting, I had the opportunity to be one of the committee members on a lot of these projects. And from the experience I've had in local government working on trails master plans and trail building, good plans lead to better projects when they come for the bigger dollar amount. So I'm a fan of helping communities do this type of planning work so that they bring us, you know, fully fleshed out, really ready to go projects that have all of the elements that often these things take, from feasibility to NEPA, to community engagement, so that when we do give them those bigger dollar amounts, either through UORG or ORI, they're really ready to go. So I'm a fan of doing this type of work. The other thing it would be following off of Commissioner Hartley's comments. There are communities, Draper is a great example of ways that we could probably help leverage the state staff even more. The LAA program has been, I think, a really great success between cities and counties in rural Utah for small communities to have access to professional county or municipal staff for various functions. And I'm confident that my friends on the county side would say they could probably leverage some of those relationships, just like we could on the municipal side, to help supplement, so that you could have kind of mentor opportunities, so that as somebody is not just getting the state manual that you may provide, that then they can connect with some people who have done these projects and then can provide them some additional feedback or on the boots trainings, or an ability to come up and see what different projects turned into. So don't forget that there's likely a willingness on the part of local government to be part of some type of a mentor program like the LLA program, but specific to recreation.
We have a mentorship, shameless plug for a mentorship program for trail planners and people that are interested in getting engaged. So that's being led by our Utah Trails Forum. A good way to plug in with our existing resources. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for the comments. Are there any comments from any other commissioners? Any online? Okay. Are there any comments from the public on this? Okay. Thank you. We'll move to the next agenda item, number 5. We'll be going about the North Wash boat ramp.
All right. The North Wash boat ramp project came before all of your desks a year ago because it was elevated as a statewide priority project. And for a little bit of context, this is the takeout for the Cataract Canyon part of the Colorado River, and it's otherwise called Utah's Little Grand Canyon. It's one of the only rivers in the western United States where the number of permits is declining because the takeout is so poor. And so this has been a priority for the Utah Guides and Outfitters community for several years, over 10 years, closer to 2 decades. And so you all approved about $400,000 last year for this project, and we were coming to request a little bit more resources, about $150,000 to cover the costs that the contractors have, upon for a little bit more engineering work, have come back with a slight increase in cost.
Are there any comments from the commission? How about from the public? Is anybody? Oh, Josh, go ahead.
Sorry. Obvious question, but there is sufficient budget to cover the $150,000 request, right?
So technically this $150,000 is kind of competing against all of the other requests that you've seen today. So it's all coming from the same account technically.
Oh.
So it'll be up to you all to
Yeah,
determine.
we'll figure that out today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great question though.
Yeah, so we're gonna rank all of these and decide what we want to do. Okay. Any other comments from the commission on this? Okay. How about are there any comments from the public? Okay. Thank you. That we'll go to our next agenda item, which is general public comments. Are there any comments from the public that would you can have 2 minutes each if you'd like to speak. Is there anybody online, Carly?
If there's anybody online and you're having difficulty accessing your microphone, please raise your hand or chime into the chat. It will grant you privileges.
Go ahead. There's an open seat over here.
Hi, how are you?
If you could go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Tammy Pearson. I'm a county commissioner from Beaver County, and just want to thank you guys for considering our application and appreciate the help that we've got along the way. I was going to comment earlier on your planning. I think that's one of the most critical things, especially for a rural county, a rural community. We don't have staff. We don't have anybody. I mean, the presentation I put together, I did it myself. I mean, we don't have professionals. I was just telling Tara that some of the biggest costs that we have is engineering, and that pretty much eats up all of the funding that you get from anybody. So the planning's huge. I think it's going to help all of rural specifically, but most everybody else. So just want to tell you thanks.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate those comments. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Okay, then we'll start the rankings. How do we want to start this? Is Patrick, do you have this one, or can you explain to the commission how this works?
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick, and and just a few clarifying points. We have a number of requests coming, and we have, I think, a $22.5 million coming from our regions, in addition to the $2.5 million for ORPA and the $150 from Northwatch. So this is all coming out of the same pot. Right now, we have roughly $22 million available in this account, but we would like you to aim closer to the $21 million, so we can keep a little buffer for administration as well as for any potential small contract request. Whatever happens with maybe an award increase. How you want to do that, obviously it's up to your discretion here. I'm going to share my screen, and just so you can see I have a live scoring sheet for you. So this is kind of how we can track things today. This is essentially everything in front of us right now, except I haven't put the division request, the 2.5 million and the 150 in here yet. So we will kind of update this as it goes. I can do full screen as well, so you can see it. But this is how we'll be able to kind of track where things are going. I cleared my my spreadsheet. Either way, it's going to help us track how much money has been awarded, what regions, the project types, what counties. So we'll kind of give you an idea of how to check in. You are welcome to make motions to award things. If you want to make any conditions on specific contracts, you're welcome to do that. Working with our amazing contract manager, we're very comfortable kind of putting some conditions that you want to see as part of these awards as well. But I think at this point, if you have any questions about specific projects, I have access to all the project folders. It's very organized on my end. I can pull those documents up. If you want to look at a budget, I'll pull that budget up, site plans, whatever it may be, letters of support, I have access to it all. And that's pretty much it. So I think from here, I'd lean on our chair, vice chair, take motions, have discussions. I'll be updating things. I can keep this going as long as you want, but I'll replace it for any type of document you want to see that can answer the question. So
thank you. Appreciate it. Commissioner Randall.
Ask a question.
Go ahead.
Just as we're starting to dive into it. So I ran through some of the numbers and some of the requested amounts versus, and this goes back to Brandy's question, I think earlier, some of the requested amounts versus the recommended amounts. There's some projects that have under 20% that are being recommended and being funded. I just want to make sure that those projects can continue to move forward if we recommend at that level.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think hopefully the chairs of each regional council stayed on so we can ask those questions, and I think that's probably one of the best questions we can ask. Make sure if we fund it, it'll be done. So,
and at least some of those applicants did state specifics as to how much they could get by with if it was just partial inside of their application. So we're kind of relying on the regional councils that they've looked at that, and the amount that they've recommended to award matches, but it's still a good question to ask.
And it's good to ask if they're scalable, right? Yeah. So that is important.
And I guess maybe it'd be good to point out and just remind folks, again, the reason we're appropriated these funds is to allocate them and award infrastructure projects and planning projects that don't fit another grant category. So keep that in mind as we go forward.
Got it. Okay. So I'll start us off. Since this one was not in any of the councils, I think we should add the Northwash boat ramp to the list. Move that we do that. I think that's an important project. I think it's important statewide, and it wasn't talked about too much by the councils, but I think it's an important one.
I'd second that, Chairman.
Okay, so we'll take a vote on that. Or is there? Thank you. Is there any discussion to that motion? It's $150,000. I think it's important, and it's overdue. So,
Chairman, I just make a comment. Years ago, when some of the staff who were probably in elementary school or younger, I ran Cataract Canyon with the National Park Service. I was congressional staff at the time, and when we got to the bottom to the takeout, they said we would be able to take out there, but they had motors on the back of their boat. It was a big boat, and they said we can't get up that ramp. We'd never get these boats up that ramp. So we motored 50 miles to Bullfrog, and I remember asking at the time, why don't you just improve it? And they said, it's not ours. It's not a Park Service ramp. And last meeting, we discussed the fact that there's different elements within Department of Interior that evidently haven't worked well together, but that's critical. We had motors. If you didn't have motors and you were in an oar boat, that's a long paddle to get to where you can take out. And while I like the idea that there aren't as many permits being requested for Cataract right now, because that means I might be able to get on Cataract at some point. I think that'd be hugely beneficial to that activity, and it's a great experience, so I'd support that.
Okay. Are there any other comments in the room or online? Okay.
I'll just say I agree and support that.
Okay. Well, we'll take a vote on that. The motion is that we add the Northwash boat ramp to the list. I'm going to say to the top of the list. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Take a voice vote for.
I think if it's unanimous, we can. We're good, right?
Talk about it. It's whatever you guys are up to. I'm going based off what the should have learned to do that before. So I'm just going based off of what the boards and commissions is the preference of, and so we just need to be able to link the vote to the actual person, if that
Got
makes
it.
sense.
So
unanimous
yeah.
votes are fine for like,
Right. I think it's probably a good use of our time if it's unanimous. We'll just say everybody. So if you're a no, please speak up, and then we can differentiate on that. So are there any no? Are there any no? All of the no's say nay or no. Okay. The chair rules that is unanimous. Okay. Thank you. Now we'll. I don't know if the best way to do this is to go through each region kind of one by one to get us started off, or
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I can make a sorry.
I have a
Go ahead.
I have a procedural question.
Oh, go ahead, Councilman Bradshaw.
I was just curious. So we had the presentation on the boat ramp, which was clear it would need to be a motion to move. Was the ORPA funding a presentation because it would also need to be something we would move as a motion, or was it a
Correct.
separate
Yes.
discussion?
Well, I think we'll have to make a motion for everything that we put on.
Okay, thank you.
So I would like to make that motion to fund 2.5 million for the ORPA outdoor recreation planning program.
Well, so the recommendation was in last meeting was 2.5. This time it was 2, but the motion is that we recommend.
I thought the slide said 2.5. I'm sorry.
Staff is recommending 2.5.
Okay.
So do we have a second on that?
I will second.
Okay, Commissioner Bradshaw on the second there. Do we have any comments on that?
I've already given you guys my spiel.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think we can put 2.5 in there for right now, and then how we see this pans out, maybe we scale it back to 2 or what we need to. But I think that's appropriate to start off with. So all in favor. So the motion is that we recommend $2.5 million for the outdoor recreation planning assistance request. All in favor say aye.
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 All against say no. Okay, the chair rules that is unanimous. Okay, so we will now go to, how did you guys do this last year? I wasn't the chair last year. Did you guys
Chair,
go
I'd
through
like to
council
make
by
a
council?
motion.
What's that?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, one moment.
My recollection from last year is it just came motion by motion.
Yep.
It compiled the list.
Just kind of went for it. Okay.
Yeah, you reached the free-for-all stage, and that's where we are.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate the experience here. All right.
My motion is maybe to help us get a little bit quicker through the free-for-all. For the minutes, Brandy Grace. I would like to make a motion that in recognition of the hard work done by the regional councils, that we move forward at the top 3 from each region.
I'll second. This is
At
Kelly
the
again.
recommended amount, yeah.
Okay. You know, I think that's probably appropriate to get us moving quickly. Are there any comments from the commission?
I am just hoping that Patrick will show us his awesome pie charts at the end of that motion so we can see how it shakes out.
All right.
It looks like it's in progress.
Okay. Go ahead, Representative.
For the sake of time, amendment motion to bump that up to 5 instead of 3. And so that sweeps in the entire central region, who only has 5 projects.
Well, that's an amended. What's the procedure to ask a question on that?
Yeah, go ahead and I'll ask for comments. Yep, go ahead.
My only question on that is if we go to the 5 ranking, there are some in there that are only partially funded in the eastern region. So I would just want clarification from the staff probably on eastern region 4 and 5. Can they continue to move forward because they're at that 22 or 30%?
Yeah, so that's a call we'll have to make. Are there any comments on the substitute motion?
I can answer a part of the question on partial funding if you went down to 5 items on the Wasatch region. On the Utah Lake Authority project, where we recommended a partial, I need this font to be slightly bigger. Yeah, partial. We were looking at the number of areas on the lake that they wanted to do these feasibility or more detailed implementation plans, and basically saying we can do half of them, and or the recommendation is to do half of them. So they would still, in that case, be able to move forward with something meaningful in that project because they were doing multiple areas, and so they would give them an opportunity to pick a handful of the areas that they were proposing. So partial answer to your question, at least in Wasatch region.
Okay, a comment on that, some quick math on that. What was the dollar amount that would put us at?
Patrick can probably be more precise, but it's around 16 million if we were to go top 5 of all plus the 2 already approved.
That's just the top 3. The Commissioner Randall, I did want to show you, like with all of these, and please continue asking questions, but for the Flaming Gorge one, for example, in that eastern region, you can see this is what we're eliciting from them in the application. So are you willing to accept partial funding? They name their amount, and then we ask for them to specifically itemize kind of what they're doing with that funding. If partial funding is awarded, we'll work with the applicant to get, a good budget that's reflecting that award. But yeah, hopefully, most of the decisions are being made from feedback from them. And I'll pull this up on any application you want.
Okay. Thank you. So do we have any comments to the other comments to the substitute motion?
Do you need a second to the substitute motion?
We do need a second.
I will second the substitute motion.
Okay, we have a second. Are there any additional comments to
Chair?
Yes.
To just clarify, we're going through on funding the recommended amount, not the requested amount. I just wanted to clarify that.
Was that your motion?
Is it okay?
Representative, the recommended amount?
Recommended amounts.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
I have a question, Chairman.
Go ahead.
Kate, maybe you can answer this. I'm going back to my previous comment about the Utah Lake Authority. They do have, as an authority, they have a separate budget. They have an annual appropriation request. I just wonder if, because they have the ability to get funds directly from the state, and they do get funds directly from the state, if those funds might be better used on the 6th line item or another entity that doesn't have the same ability as that authority does.
So you were right, and I asked very similar questions, knowing that the Utah Lake Authority has some other sources of funding, and by virtue of being an authority, has the ability to take advantage of TIF and things like that. What I recall from those discussions when I asked that question is that the funding that the authority does have doesn't necessarily lend itself well to these recreation aspects, and the studies that would be needed to kind of activate these spaces, it's more dedicated toward health of the lake and those types of aspects. So that's what I recall, Patrick, unless you have any additional supplemental on that, on the authority's funding versus other types of funding.
I mean, that's my recollection as well. And I think with all of these, we could reach out to like Sam Brager, for example, and get clarification, kind of going back to where I started with how some of these, recommendations go. You can have these types of conditions to things. So it's like, we want to just make sure that, this is a needed funding source, relative to the other ones that you're getting. And then this is updated just so everyone knows what they're looking at. This is with the top 5 in each region.
I realize I'm brand new here, so maybe that's a bit presumptuous to jump straight to 5. So my feelings aren't hurt if
I was curious to see what it looked like before with any chance, Patrick, you can make it big on the screen so I can see it better. Sorry.
I think that's Paul. There we go. Look at that. They're so responsive here. I love it.
Good job, Paul. All right. So the motion is that we recommend that we put on the list the top 5 from each council for their recommended award, which puts us at this 15.6 million right here. Is there any other is there?
I just want to make sure, did the North Wash boat ramp make that on this list?
Correct.
I'm not seeing the 150,000.
Is that on there, Patrick?
Yeah, it's reflected in the statewide, I believe, or in Garfield County, because of the project county is in Garfield, I believe.
Okay,
That's kind of where
thank
it's
you
gonna be
for
reflected, yeah.
clarifying. I just wanted to make sure we didn't leave something off the list. And
Yes, very, very important.
And the ORPA is also in there, Patrick?
Correct, yeah. And so you can see, this is my live scoring sheet. You get a sneak peek at the magic. Yeah, so I have the ORPA is a statewide for the county, statewide for the region, and then the North Wash I put Garfield for the county, but the region I put statewide because, you know, it's a DOR kind of state priority ask.
Got it. Okay. Are there any other additional comments from the commission? Okay, we'll put this to a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 And those against say nay or no. There any no's online?
5 million to play with.
Okay, I'll rule that passes unanimously. So now,
Mr. Chair.
yes, go ahead.
I'm also new, but I'm wondering if Patrick can show how much that allocates for each region now, so we can equitably.
Yeah, can we
share.
blow up the pie chart?
I mean, I can announce it if that's helpful. So yeah, so the dollar amounts right now I mean, you can see the percentages. So this percentage is just how much is funded. I chose percentages over I thought those numbers might get pretty big and hard to read. But yeah, so right now Central is a touch over 4 million, Northern 1.6, Southwest 1.7, statewide 2.6, and just a reminder that's ORPA and the North Wash. Wasatch Front 2.7 and Eastern 2.7.
Was each council given the same kind of dollar amount to shoot for?
Yeah, I think we told them all, we're aiming for 4 to 5 million. I think our hope was that there would be some projects on the border that you all would need to, consider removing. And so, yeah, we asked 4 to 5, and I think most came in right around, 4 to 5. But you add a little bit over 4 every time, then we kind of end up about here. So
Right. I think, yeah, we can go back to the project lists and cut things if we need with additional motions. Or add things as well. So ultimately, we could put this all in the northern region if we wanted to. So, but that's up to us, right? So,
and then just excuse me, Chair. Just as a reminder, that amount awarded total, what we're aiming for is 21 million on that square. That's kind of what we feel we have available.
21. So, okay. Are there any other?
can I make a motion to add the next project from the remaining council prioritizations and see where that gets us? So that would be item number 6
Yes.
for the.
Oh, you want to
the
go
projects
add number
that
6
were
from each one?
recommended.
Okay. The motion is that we add the number 6 in all of the regions to the list and see where that adds us or puts us. We could put that on there without making a motion if we wanted to, right? Just to get to it.
I think it would be important to look at the pie chart again and see where we are regionally. Just because it's top 5 doesn't mean we've captured, an equitable amount. It
Right.
might be worthwhile to maybe say something.
Right.
If we look at this, that's fine. But
we have a motion on the floor right now, so we'll want to. Do we have a second for that motion? Go ahead. Yes, Commissioner Goonan, would you like to clarify your motion? Did you want to add the not recommended from the central region? Since they only have 5?
Yeah, Central would, since all of their projects are up there, if we took the remaining 4 regions and added their 6th project.
Okay.
And
got it.
What if we suggested that perhaps the motion maker receded from their motion just so that we could do it as a planning exercise,
Right.
and then see?
Would you like to withdraw your motion for the moment while we see what the dollar amount is?
I would like to see what the dollar amount is. So if that means I need to withdraw my motion, I am happy to withdraw my motion.
We can just keep it on the floor and see where it is, right? So
I'm really bad at Robert's rules, so.
Oh man, me too. And I chair in the legislature sometimes. So, all right, Patrick, can you show us what it looks like with the 6?
Yeah, so this, and just to clarify, yeah, this is the top 6 for every region except for the eastern, except for the central, which has their 5 already captured. So.
Okay, can we get that back up on the screen, Paul?
I may not have actually hit the share button.
Patrick, could you please share your screen again?
There we go. Can you get in closer on that?
Yeah, and so just to read off the awards amounts for people who can't quite see that, Eastern is at 3.7 million, Central is at 4.05, Southwest is at 2.5, statewide 2.6, Wasatch Front 3, and Northern 3.3.
And what are we trying to get to again? 21?
Yeah, the goal is
that's including the ORPA and the North Wash.
Correct. Yeah. So without, so it's going to be roughly, public math, right? Like 18.5, I guess, 18.350. Was that right?
Yep. So okay.
Can I ask a quick clarifying question on the Wasatch list?
Go ahead.
The West Thorpe Hills Campground.
In Tooele County.
In Tooele County.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the big master trail system along the west edge of the state. Is that correct?
I believe so. And this one is for the engineering and design phase.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't actually doing any of the infrastructure. This is just getting all of that planning in place. This was the only project we had come out of Tooele County in our region. And so that's in part why we made sure it was on our prioritized list, is because it was the only project we had come in from Tooele County.
Yeah, and as I recall from the presentation in the last meeting, campgrounds along that route are fairly critical, and having people camp in the right places is probably pretty critical. And I wonder if that isn't something that should be prioritized by the commission to facilitate those trails. I don't know if someone knows more about it.
So we going back, we still have a motion on the floor to add the 6th from the 4 remaining. So
And this is the 6th. That is number 6 from the Wasatch Front.
Thank you for pointing that out. Were you trying to make a motion, or were you commenting?
I was asking for clarification that was included in that trail system.
Are you talking about High Desert Trail?
Yes.
I don't. Carly probably is best to answer.
This is not exactly on the route. It's
not.
Peripheral, but any sort of camping opportunities that can help the system kind of peripherally is.
Is this a trail for vehicles?
Mm-hmm.
OHV trail. Okay. Got it. All right. So the motion is on the floor still. We were looking for a second, or any additional comments?
I don't know if it's in.
Go ahead, Commissioner Roberts.
Thank you. I don't know if it's the right place for a substitute motion, but just looking at the pie chart, is it important to be equitable among regions? Because I'm wondering about bringing the Southwest and I guess is that the statewide? Maybe the statewide isn't as important as bringing the other regions up, having the same opportunities statewide.
Yeah, I think that's a decision that this commission has to make, right? If that's important to you, then that's how you can vote. If it's not, then it's not, right? So it's just what's important to this commission.
Do I have the right to make a motion then?
You do. Yep.
I'd make a motion, substitute motion, that we look at the two. Again, I don't think the statewide is important. Is that where the ORPA and North Ramp fall in? So the two lowest regions, looking at their next 2 line items and see where that would take us.
I'll second that.
Who was that second from?
Krista Hinton.
Krista Hinton. Okay, we have a second on the substitute motion. That
to clarify, that's the Southwest and the Wasatch region. Is that what you mean by the lowest?
Which
I don't
two
know.
are the
My
lowest?
eyes aren't great.
So pink
Patrick, which
and
two are the
turquoise.
lowest? So can you take us back to, I think it'd be helpful if you took us
Wasatch
back to
Front.
what we have on the board right now for our motions.
Yeah.
Can you take us back to the top 5 real quick?
Just to the top 5, great.
Because that will change. He's showing us
Wasatch
with the
Front's
6 on there right now. So let's take it back to showing us with the top 5 on there. So which two are?
So I think it'd be the Southwest and the Wasatch Front. Oh, it changed.
Which two? Right. So that's why I wanted to show what we have right now. So the two right now. Which one's the one in pink there?
They were close, huh?
I can't. So we have the Southwest and then the yellow.
Northern. Yeah.
So Southwest and Northern. Did you want to take a look at the Southwest and Northern?
Correct.
Okay. So the motion is that we take a look at the list from the Southwest and the Northern regions. That is the substitute motion. Are there any comments or a second for that?
I'd like to comment.
Okay, sorry, I'm not
This is
seeing who's on.
Commissioner Goonan. Sorry,
Commissioner Goonan,
I'm online.
Go ahead.
So I'd just like to kind of entertain the comment about equitable. If we've asked I think we can define that a couple different ways in this process. One would be a similar dollar amount per region. Another would be the number of projects funded in the region, since each region, while their total funding request came in at about 4 to 5 million. Different projects cost different amounts, and if we're able to fund the top 5 or the top 6 projects for each region, that can still make a really big impact in each of those regions and still leave the commission. It looks like we're still a couple million away from that 21 million benchmark that Patrick gave us, and we might be able to pull in some additional projects to maybe address the total funding amount. But that's just something that I would like to put out there for the commission to consider.
That's a good point. Thank you for that comment. Are there any other comments? Okay, did we already have, go ahead.
Well, just my question was to see that dollar amount before we approve, not to approve it.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I viewed it as a like a research request you were just making, so you could see.
Got it. Oh, okay, got it. So we don't need a motion for a research request. Do you want to withdraw your motion?
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can you take us to can you pull up the projects for the Southwest and Northern region real quick? We can take a look at those.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
If we were equitable and gave every region the same amount, what would that be? If we were just looking at the same amount, not that we're going to do that. I just want to know where we'd be with.
So we'd have $18.5 million to play with about, and then we can divide that by 5. It's 3.7.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so can you?
I'd like to make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor right now.
Oh, I
so
thought it was withdrawn.
You can make a substitute motion if you like, or we can do the research request, or we can look at the dollar amounts real quick. Should we look at?
So to clarify, the motion that was on the table is to go to item number 6, right? Because
It
we
is to
adopted 5.
Add the 6, correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So, but we want to look at the two regions that do not have the most dollar amounts right now. That was the request for looking at that. So we have should we look at the Southwest region first? Can we zoom in on?
Can I make a substitute motion as it relates to Southwest?
We can make a substitute motion, but we probably let's get through looking at the dollar amounts, and then we can entertain additional motions if that's okay.
And then just to clarify, so this is just with what's kind of already been moved forward. So these are the top 5.
Okay, so what has it been allocated to the Southwest region so far for a dollar amount?
Dollar amount 1.755 million.
Okay. And then the Northern?
1.65 million.
0.65. Okay.
And then I just did the actual table math. So yeah, we'll have 3,670,000 if every region were to get the exact same amount, and ORPA and North Wash were funded.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, Brandy, did you want to make a substitute motion?
Yes, I would ask for the Southwest region to consider. I know we've already allocated funds for Beaver County, but I feel like the effort that's been done there, I would like to see them be awarded the $500,000 to continue that project. I know the value that brings to that area of the state. So in lieu of just going to the 6 projects, I would ask that we prioritize their item number 8.
Okay.
I would second that motion.
Okay, so we have a substitute motion to add regional ranking number 8 in the Southwest region, which is Beaver County's Puffer Lake recreational area, and that is $500,000. And we have a second from Commissioner Taylor. Do we have any comments from the commission on that?
I have a question. This is Krista Hinton online.
Go
If
ahead.
we're prioritizing that, are you meaning in that motion, you would add that in addition to the 6th line item, and it would
Right.
essentially be
Right. So what
part of that group?
Yeah. What I assume is that you'd add it to. So we already have that. So you're adding it to the bottom of the list. Is that correct? Of what we already have on there right now.
No, I would rank it above number 7. And I'm looking.
No. So we already have
instead of
numbers 1
6,
through
yeah.
5 added to the board.
Yes.
We'll call the board. What you want to do is add that next.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So we'll call the board what we already have on there. Is everybody good with that? So the substitute motion is that we add regional ranking item number 8 from Southwest to the bottom of the board at the recommended award of $500,000. Is there any discussion to that?
So we're just considering one item at
Correct.
this time. This motion is just for that one item.
That is a substitute motion.
Just the Puffer Lake.
The Puffer Lake, yep.
I would second that.
We already have a second. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion to that?
No, I like it.
Okay. Representative Schallenberger likes it. So if there's no other discussion, we'll put that to a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 And those against say no. Are there any no's online or in the room? Okay, I rule that passes unanimously. We'll add the Beaver County Puffer Lake recreational area to the bottom of the board for $500,000 on the recommended award. Okay, and now it's open again. Do we have any? What does that put us at for our dollar amount? That puts us at 16, which we have $2.5 million more to play with. If there any other motion, I actually have a motion to make. That I was looking at the Wasatch Front things again, and I was noticing that the 27th Street trailhead was not recommended, but that is part of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, which is actually it made the recommendation of a lot of other regions in there, and I feel like Weber County didn't really get a say on the Wasatch Front in their top 5, and so I'd recommend that we bump that up and put that in there. And I think that it's part of the trails going on there.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Chairman?
Yes.
Patrick, can you show us if are they able to take less than the amount requested and what that is? Since there's not a recommended amount.
So I'm just putting up their application response on that specific question. Are you willing to accept partial funding? They said yes. $325,000 is the least we could do and still fund most of the project. But then they said they would have to look at amenities that could be excluded from this first section of work. And you can,
Okay, so thank you. I'd like to clarify that we would recommend 325,000 for that.
I'm wondering, Mr. Chairman, if you'd be open to a motion where you combined your 27th Street with the West Thorpe campground in Tooele.
I actually think that's very appropriate. I'll withdraw my original motion and combine that with so the number 6 and the 27th Street from the Wasatch front.
At 325?
So at 325 for the 27th Street and the 350,000 for the West Thorpe Hills campground. That way Tooele will get something and Wiberg will get something.
And I'd be happy to second that motion.
Okay. So
I think we've done a lot on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. I mean, I think it almost appears in every region except for maybe the southern regions. It's, I think, a focus statewide to get that done. And so I'm happy to support that. I do think the OHV travel component in Tooele County is just something we wouldn't want to miss on either.
I agree. So so we have a second. Is there any discussion to that motion? Okay, well, no discussion. We'll put that to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And those against say no. Are there any no's online? Okay. So we have added number 6 and the 27th Street to the Wasatch front.
Sorry, went the other way. The northern region was another one where potentially we were looking at making some changes. And I'd be curious, as I think about the things that would be potentially really impactful for some of the things we're working on towards the Olympics, and that seem to be like relatively smaller dollar amounts that would potentially be meaningful. The Snake Creek to Soldier Hollow Connector Trail in Wasatch County. I'd be interested if the staff has any feedback there. It's a $65,000 recommendation, so it's relatively small, but I could see that potentially being something that would be helpful from an Olympic standpoint to get that planning done and the feasibility done in case that becomes a helpful component to then fund an infrastructure, in a few years.
Did he not say it was 40,000? They changed it from 65 to 40.
We have 65 on there. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's reflected on your notes, but yeah, the chair, Don Taylor, did say they had found, I think, additional funding, and so they were actually requesting 40,000.
Okay.
I believe in his presentation is when he brought that up.
That is correct.
Okay.
To clarify, is this a paved trail or is this a natural surface trail?
It's a natural surface.
I think so. Yeah, it kind of goes on the mountain,
That's
right?
kind of what I thought, but a natural surface trail probably doesn't lend itself to transportation purposes in winter as well as a paved trail would.
Does you not want to pave it?
Yeah, I don't.
We are paving a lot more stuff.
I mean, it could be a fun thing for people to snowshoe or something during the Olympics. So it's not that it might not be used, but either way, I think that amount of funding, I think that's a good bang for the buck. So were you making did you make a motion?
It was an inquiry for staff, but let's make it a motion and see if anyone wants to second it. So I would make a motion to fund the Snake Creek to Soldier Hollow Connector Trail at $45,000.
Was it 40,000 or 45?
40.
40?
40,000. Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, may I, sorry,
go ahead.
Take a little small break there. This is for the staff, but who nominated this project? Where does it stem from?
The Wasatch Trails Foundation.
Okay. And did you get a response from the park manager or any of the park staff?
I can at least speak that they actually did apply to ORPA for this project and it was not funded, which is why we recommended them to apply to ORI. And yes, Wasatch Trails Foundation has been working very closely with the Wasatch State Park staff.
Yeah, we have a letter from Jonathan Hunt, a support letter on this project.
Perfect.
Hopefully I didn't just throw him under the bus.
All right. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. So the motion is that we add the $40,000 funding for the Snake Creek to Soldier Hollow Connector Trail, which is regional ranking number 7 in the northern region. Is there any other discussion to that? Okay, we'll put that to a vote then. All in favor say aye.
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 All against say no or nay. Okay, I rule that passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Hartley.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt number 9 in the eastern region, the Carbon County Rock Crawler Trails NEPA.
Okay, which number is
That's
that?
number 9
Number
in
9?
eastern.
Okay.
It's $95,000. NEPA's hard. I doubt that the rock crawling community is getting a lot of support from the county itself. And I think that is probably a NEPA exercise worthy of doing so that we can clarify some of the issues down there.
Okay. Do we have any discussion or a second to the motion that we add the $95,000 to the eastern region number 9 ranking the Carbon County Rock Crawler Trails, the NEPA funding for any discussion or a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioner Taylor's got the second. Any other further discussion? Okay, any online? Okay. Well, go ahead and put that to a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. All against say nay. Okay, I ruled that passes unanimously. Okay, we're watching this in real time. Looks like we're at 16.9 right now. Okay, are there any other?
I'd like to make another motion.
Commissioner Bradshaw?
In the Southwest region, item number 6, the Dixie National Forest Campground Utility Restoration Project. In that presentation, I asked about, the ranking of the different U.S. Forest Service projects, and it felt like we got some strong feedback that with the fires in the Pine Valley area, that this would be very helpful and needed restoration work that would be done. So I'd like to make a motion that we fund the item number 6 on the Southwest region.
Okay. The motion is that we fund item number 6 in the Southwest region, which is the Dixie National Forest Campground Utility System Restoration Project.
I'll second the motion. Kelly Goonan.
Kelly Goonan with the second. Is there any discussion to this?
Question. Do you mean fully fund their request?
We're the
803,000.
I think we're saying the recommended award.
My motion would be for the recommended award. I hope that the committee did their due diligence that amount is still impactful and meaningful.
So for the full 1.95 rather than the 803, is that what you're?
No, my motion is for the 803.
The 803.
My trust is being placed in your region that dollar amount of 803 is able to achieve meaningful impact.
That wasn't already included though when we did the motion for all 6 projects for each region?
I believe the 6 motion came off and we then moved to individual motions.
Yeah.
The 6th motion came off and Puffer Lake was promoted and approved in Southwest, but
yeah, there was a substitute motion.
I'm grateful for the motion. This was prioritized higher by our committee. I think we should for sure fund that. I think that's going to be really impactful for my region. So
okay.
Thanks for clarifying.
Right. Okay. So did we have a second? Okay.
I seconded Kelly Goonan.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Is there any discussion to the motion? Okay, then we'll put that to a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 And those against say nay. Okay, I rule that passes unanimously. We've added the Dixie National Forest Campground Utility System Restoration Project to the board at
And Patrick, show us
$803,700.
the pie charts again.
Paul, could you show us the pie chart again? Where we are now? Okay. Yeah, what is that yellow region there?
Yeah, I'd make
The
a
northern-
motion.
All right, what do
based
we
on
got going on
that.
in the northern region?
If we could fund number 6 in the northern region, Little Creek Campground Engineering Redesign and Construction, and that's in Rich County.
Got it.
I'm happy to make comments now or wait.
All right. Okay, so the comment or the
Number 6.
okay, the motion is that we add number 6 in the northern region, the Little Creek Campground Engineering Redesign and Construction.
I'd second that.
To the list at $1.682 million. We have a second from Commissioner Hartley. Is there any discussion to the motion? Go
Yep.
ahead,
I've been watching the
Roberts.
northern also. But I was concerned about the dollar amount of the next one. Where are we, Patrick, on available, or where we could? What's our target again? Are we going for 21 million?
We're going for
Yeah,
with what we have left. Okay.
Yeah, so when I show this sheet, that amount awarded, we're trying to get that as close as we can to 21 million. This is not reflecting the current motion for the northern project.
Like to comment, I mean, we've talked about trying to be equitable with percentages or project count. As we're looking at Rich County, it's a pretty isolated county if you've ever driven through it. So I maybe we take into consideration also like how much these are going to be used, how many people are going to be actively using these areas. If you drop down, looking at Muirfield Park in Heber City or the Bluffdale Regional Park, I mean, those are going to be used by hundreds of thousands of people versus 100 people. So maybe taking into consideration just the number of people that are going to be using these rather than just quantity per region or dollar per region or equity per region.
I would counter a little bit. This is Kelly Goonan. Going back to the rankings, if we've put our trust into the regional councils to determine what is valuable in their regions, I hope that they would have had this discussion. And as you build recreation facilities, they tend to get a lot more use. And a lot of these projects end up being developed in places that are already getting use and are just not equipped to handle that use. So I again would trust the folks that have looked at this. I've camped in the West Desert. It's pretty remote. There are not a lot of amenities out there. It's a little bit difficult to find your way. And what we're finding with especially the post-pandemic is that more people are coming. And I think developing these kinds of facilities in places that can handle that use is going to avoid a really significant impact, problematic impact down the road. Those additional amenities also bring additional visitation and economic revenue to our rural communities as well.
I'd like to make a comment along those same lines. Some of these small counties, counties like Rich and Daggett, they don't have the natural resources that other counties have. They don't have the populations that other counties have, and they wouldn't be able to fund things like this otherwise. And so I think our ability to disperse populations off the Wasatch Front and other areas that are saturated with visitors into regions that could use the visitation for economic development and growth and support those communities, I think that's beneficial and something we should consider as well. So I like Rich and I like Daggett for those reasons, and others as well. But we funded Sevier really well, so that's good.
All right, yeah, it's I'd say it's some of these smaller communities. I mean, I live in a town of 600 people that gets thousands of visitors every year. So it's yeah, sometimes we need help because there is a statewide impact, even though they're smaller communities. So go ahead, Commissioner Roberts.
I appreciate this conversation because it's good to look for different perspectives. One perspective I'm looking at is I'm looking at the Rich County proposal as well as the Muirfield Park expansion. The word expansion makes me think because the Rich County is existing. Maybe Patrick, you can help me out with some of the details of these two projects. They're both over $1 million ask or recommendation, from the councils. One is an expansion, which would create more opportunity in Wasatch County, where the Rich County one is restoration, correct? I mean, can you explain which one would, maybe not one would have more value, but I just see expansion creating more opportunities where Rich County might be operational now.
Great, thank you. And I'm going to defer to Carly. She was facilitating the Northern, so she'll be able to answer it better than I.
So if I refer back to the notes from the Ranking Council in the Northern region, the Muirfield Park project ranked a little bit lower just because there was that discussion about other funding sources that could be applicable for that specific project. And then our Rich County project was discussion about current use and anticipated future demand and needing to update and repair those facilities for future use. Did that answer your question?
No, that's helpful, and and as it's been mentioned before, it's important to respect the ranking commission or ranking councils as well. With that information, I'd probably pledge support for the Rich County proposal.
Director Curry.
Yeah, I like this. It's right outside of the town of Randolph there. Not a super big touristy destination, but certainly is something that the locals are going to rely on. It's already there. It's already existing. The other thing we have not really talked about here is the fact that this money doesn't require any match. So it's up to us to decide the merit of a project with that as one of the factors. We're, in this particular one with Little Creek, there is no cash match being brought to the table by the BLM. This is all just in kind, their share. Whereas, the Muirfield, we're getting, a pretty good value because the total project cost is a 4.1 million. If we put in 1.1, then we're leveraging more funds, if that makes sense. Just something for everybody to keep in mind in these conversations as we get closer to our threshold amount.
Was there, so I have questions along similar lines, Mr. Chairman, that there's a lot of asks in the federal category, whether it's Forest Service or BLM. And we funded some of those already up and down different regions. So since the BLM is not bringing us really much by way of a match for this project, were there any notes from the Northern region about in their application where we could maybe partially fund or phase just because it is a big dollar amount to be at 1.6?
Yeah, and so, I can even share this so you can all see. We do have information from Muirfield. And so their partial funding, yes, they'd be willing to accept 1.6. And then so you can say the priority of the construction is the trails and a pond with a dock and a pavilion. So it looks like that's, if given 1.6, that's where they would want to prioritize that funding. Oh, were we looking at Little Creek? Oh, I'm sorry.
Little Creek is 1 million in partial funding is what they've stated in their application. They'd have to scale down the scope of the project and it wouldn't include some of the renovations, but they put 1 million.
I think maybe just another comment in support of the Rich County request. Their application specifically mentions that they're also working to update aging infrastructure. Our federal agencies face billions of dollars in maintenance backlog, and I'm not suggesting that it's this council's responsibility to fix that or address that. But as conditions deteriorate, that negatively affects the experience. It pushes users to other facilities. So again, if the regional council has decided that this is a worthy project and they've made a good case to support it, I'm not saying that we should support, or approve every ask that is going to, support a federal site necessarily. But the fact that this is also a resource to Utahns and not only out-of-state visitors, I think is worth considering. And I live in Iron County, for the record, so I'm not advocating for my hometown here.
Okay, so we had a motion. Didn't we have we had a second?
I was going to offer a substitute motion.
Okay, substitute motion.
My substitute motion
Did we have a substitute motion? Sorry, it's been a while. All right.
I think you don't have a second, so I can still substitute, right?
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Bradshaw.
So, with all due respect, I still think it's a pretty large dollar amount, and where they're willing to accept $1 million, I would make a substitute motion that we do the Northern Region Little Creek Campground item number 6 at $1 million.
Okay, we have who had Commissioner Roberts with the second on there. Okay, the motion is that we add the Little Creek Campground engineering redesign and construction to the board at $1 million. Is there any discussion to the motion? Okay, we will put that to a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 And those against say no. Okay, rule that passes unanimously. We have added that to the board.
If it's helpful at all to our staff, our GIS staff has prepared a map of prior years of funding. So if you're ever curious to look spatially at what counties have received or where these funds have been disseminated throughout the state, please let us know and we'd be happy to share our screen.
Got it. Do we have a, all right, so we are at 18.7. So we have, I'm going to do math here in front of everybody, like 2.3 to work with. So, Representative Schallenberger.
Okay. I've actually been paragliding in Randolph, so I have spent time up in Rich County, and I like it on the other side of the valley there on one of the ridges. So I can appreciate the comment. I would like to jump and make a motion to skip down to, could we look at the percentages real quick?
Can we pull up the...
Might change.
Yeah, the pie chart again.
Since I think we're inherently trying to be roughly equal. Could we look at what we would do if we added the Bluffdale land acquisition in there? I think we're already coming in at a prorated amount on what they asked and what they requested, and we already know the land down in that area is never going to actually depreciate. It's going to just keep going up as it keeps getting smaller and smaller. So.
And just add a little context to that if I can. Yeah, they came in with a request amount of $2 million. The partial request that they stated on their application they'd be willing to accept would be $1 million. The language they provided with that partial request is that they would purchase half the land. So the recommendation coming out of the Wasatch Front on this one was, if we do fund it, at this number, the hope is they'll still pursue the full 21 acres. So just wanted to make sure you had that additional context.
Clarify that 21 acres would be 1 million or the full 2 million?
The full 2 million would help them purchase 21 acres, and they would want to split that in half, or at least ratio that. But they mentioned specifically to split that in half if they only were to get the 1 million. And I can pull up the specific language if you want to see the application as well.
Patrick, did they mention other sources of funding for that acquisition?
Let me pull up their budget, and I think that probably can help more than me.
And if they're asking for split that in half, is there any language why the group lowered that down to 700 then instead of just $1 million?
Can I add some color context on that one, Patrick?
Yeah, and just the first question, it looks like they themselves they're providing the funding. Yeah.
It's a 50-50.
The county.
4 million total. They've got 2 million they're bringing.
Yeah.
So, serving on this particular ranking region, I would say we had a particular member of our ranking committee that felt really strongly about playing hardball with the land negotiations, and that particular ranking member was just very strident that they wanted them to play hardball in those negotiations and see if they could either leverage additional dollars or leverage the seller of the property to be able to get that. I personally didn't feel as strongly about. I feel like land in that part of the southwest part of Salt Lake County is, it's going fast and it's going for a lot, and so 21 acres for a regional park would be amazing. 10 acres for a regional park would still be amazing, and that we should encourage, of course, our friends at Salt Lake County to do their best negotiating work ever. But I was personally less bullish on you must knock down the entire 21 acres for a less dollar amount.
Is Salt Lake County jumping in on this? Are they paying anything towards this acquisition, or?
Yeah, they're the ones providing the match, from my understanding.
The 2 million?
Yeah.
And then Bluffdale do they have any of their own funding that they're putting in?
I think on the application, I want to say it was. Let's see. I mean, they listed applicant, as $50. So I think there probably is a little bit more clarification on that one. Salt Lake County themselves did present this project, though.
So I guess one clarifying question: if you were talking about 2 million, splitting it to 1 million, why did we go down to 700? Because a guy wanted to play hardball. An
individual who shall be unnamed. So part of it is we were getting down to, so the Wasatch Front region you see had, I think, probably the most projects and the most dollar amount requested, and it obviously serves a significant population of the state. But we were held to the same 4 million as the other regions. So as it became a challenge to, to just see what we could do with that amount of money, that's why we came up with a lesser dollar amount. All of the reasons I've already given you, that land in Salt Lake County is obviously very pricey, that's a part of the county where we've had significant population growth and impacts, and preserving this space for recreation uses was just timely. And if we miss the window, then we miss the window, and there may never be another opportunity there. And so it was purely an exercise of trying to get to the dollar amount that we were required to get to from ranking.
Okay, I guess with that, I'd like to make a motion that we do 1 million for the Bluffdale project.
Okay, we have the motion is that we do 1 million for Wasatch Front regional item, or ranking number 7, Bluffdale Regional Park land purchase, for $1 million, and the second by Commissioner Roberts.
Can I ask a question before we vote?
Yeah, discussion. Yep.
Maybe in the letter that went out with this list from staff, there's some comments made about. Well, I'll just read this. We understand the importance of local parks to communities, and in fact, have recently created the Community Parks and Recreation Grant to help support these communities. Can you kind of give us more information about the Community Parks and Recreation Grant program and how that overlaps with what we're doing.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for reading some of my documents. Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't want to, give the full context in all of our history, but, we've recently tried to move a little bit into the municipal park space, in the sense like it's consistently previously it was really getting denied in a lot of our applications just because it wasn't eligible, and it's a clear need. So we started our community parks and recreation grant through our Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant program, and I think we had like $11.5 million in requests in just that program last year. So we are trying to meet it with some funding. The Land Water Conservation Fund is another one that's been really good for parks. I think we're going to have about $5 million for that program this year as well. So as part of the Terry, I still think we're trying to feel out where does recreation and municipal parks, where do they intersect? It's a convenient access point for just so many people, inevitably this intersection. And so that was more just to make sure everyone knows, like, there are additional funding sources. This is something we're trying to figure out, is like what is that nexus point between a classic city regional park or even a small town park and recreation. And so just wanted to let you know that, we're still thinking about this, so that we have available funding sources. If you want to look at these projects as, something that this should fund, we believe that by the rule, kind of authorizing this funding, it's well within that. But yeah, and I'm happy to answer any more questions about that. But just how we've been kind of thinking about parks. I think if we open this up to all parks, we would see a lot of requests because it's a big need right now.
Do we know if there's any overlap in any of our requests we received versus the other programs?
Overlap in, like, are they?
You're requesting money from the parks and recreation grants or from the water conservation funds in addition to are they? I assume they're pursuing all angles, so they're probably applying.
I would think, Salt Lake County, they have some great staff doing, working a lot. They've accepted a lot of Land Water Conservation Fund over the years. I personally haven't seen this one specifically. I mean, we do have our LWCF coordinator right here, but this would be eligible. I think this one, land acquisition, when we talk about our community parks and rec grant, and that will not fund land acquisition, and we are trying to integrate our community parks funding a little bit more with kind of like housing plan, like designated centers, and we want it to be thoughtful, and so we're still trying to consider that. But for land acquisition, open space, this is the only state resource we have to help support that. Yeah.
But Evan, you haven't heard anything that LWCF is something they're considering for this piece?
At least in the two regions that I was helping out with this round, so the central and the eastern region, I did not see the LWCF specifically mentioned as part of a match or part of a long-term plan for any of these. However, that application is open right now. So, I mean, we can certainly take a look in there. I didn't see any kind of cross-pollination between these two grant programs as of now.
I think it is just worth a little bit of caution on this one particularly because, LWCF, we got this year the biggest appropriation from the federal government we've ever gotten for land acquisition for parks, specifically for this type of thing. So just keep that in mind as we evaluate this one. There is an adjacent park right there in Bluffdale. This would double the footprint of their, preserved open recreation green park space. So it is cool. I love it.
What type of budget do they have in that program?
So the apportionment this year was for $5.79 million for Utah. And so there's a little bit of a rollover there, so that leaves about a $6 million budget for projects this year.
And maybe also, Evan, Tara pointed out a good thing, just give us a little insight into how long that process takes and how long it takes to actually get something like this funded.
Yeah, so the LWCF funding cycle on the state side is going to close on January 15th. So we'll have until May 1st to submit those projects to the National Park Service, at which point the projects will be pretty much go under their review process. So that can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months typically. And so once they get through the NEPA process, they'll be able to secure a contract that will be provided by the state. And so our apportionment for that program has already been provided.
Do you know what size of grants or what size of projects financially those?
Yeah, and so there's a $2 million max award amount through the program.
And are you usually hitting that cap, or are you usually coming in quite a bit less than that, or?
There's a lot of variety. So again, Patrick talked a little bit about the community parks and recreation grant. So that program has a max award amount of $200,000. And so often we'll see applicants either apply to both of those programs, or if they're above that $200,000 $1,000 minimum or maximum threshold for that program, they'll usually go over to the Land and Water Conservation Fund.
So, Evan, just to clarify that time frame, it could take 3 to 4 years to buy a parcel?
Months. Yeah, so I don't know if I said years, hopefully not. But it's so.
It's like a 36 months.
3 to 6. Yeah, so I mean, previously it can, the review process, sometimes NEPA can drag out, but I've seen it happen in as quick as 3 months, and then average probably around 6 months.
6 or 7.
Correct.
6 months from May, which means this time next year.
Yes. So that would be, we'd see both development projects and acquisition projects. So there's going to be a little bit of a time difference in what the NEPA procedures are going to look like. Each project's totally different. That process can look completely different depending on the type of project. But so acquisition projects can go a little bit quicker, but even then there's quite a few hoops to jump through federally.
Okay, we've been having a good discussion. Did we have a second on that? The motion was on the table. We had a second. We have discussion. Is there any other discussion to Tyson? Go ahead.
Yeah, I seconded it for the sake of discussion. I've mentioned it before. I have to remember what hats I'm wearing. I also have a city council hat that I wear for another 2 months at least, and I value greatly. The cowboy hat looks good too, I promise. I value parks, especially in urban areas, and I'd, it's tough to see farmland disappear, but I'm assuming there's a willing seller there. I see who the owner is, but I'd support it for the sake of recreation activities, recreation for the residents that are already there. So open space is better than alternatives sometimes.
I agree. I think especially with where that is and the growth in that part of our state, I think it's important to have that open space. All right. All right. Is there any other discussion?
I mean, it sounds like there are a few other avenues they could track, but I don't know if there's a simpler, more direct solution to this project. So Jason, I don't know.
Right. I mean, it's that's true. But if there's no other discussion, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote.
It just maybe encourage them. I mean, try to get the 4 million. Try to have them use some of the other avenues so they can get the full land rather than have a partial purchase. But with that, still move ahead with our vote.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those against say no. Are there any no's online or in the room? Okay. I rule that passes unanimously. We have added the number 7 on the Wasatch front, which was the Bluffdale Regional Park land purchase at the funded amount of $1 million to the board.
Just a clarifying question. We only did the first 5, right? Is the first motion, and then you've done.
And we've been going ad hoc. Yep, correct.
The West Thorpe Hills Campground Engineering and Design, is
That was added with the 27th Street. That one is on the board. Yep. So would it be helpful to see what we have on the board for the commission? Would that help you guys? If you haven't been taking notes that nobody else will understand on the way.
Do you mean like what projects from each region?
Correct. Would that be help?
Yeah, and I can narrate a little bit. If I think I'm presenting. If Paul, if you want to make the spreadsheet big on both screens, thank you. So coming out of the Wasatch, it looks like we have the top. Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we have the top 7 plus additional 27th Street here. Going into the Southwest, it looks like we have the top 6 and the 8th. Coming in central, we have all 5 of what was recommended to be funded. The eastern, we have the top 5, and then we also pulled in the Carbon County Rock Crawler Trails NEPA. And then finally in the northern, we have the top 7, looks like, are funded. And then get rid of these. And then also the Orpa Ask and the North Wash Ask.
Right. Did we cover the Southwest? I think, yeah, we have everything in the Southwest except for the Coal Creek Campground.
I have a motion. In the interest of the discussion broadly about adaptive recreation, the Sheep Creek non-motorized launch dock and ADA pathways in the eastern, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7th down in the eastern. They're asking for $200,000, and the recommended amount was $200,000. I think it's a worthy project. It's for basically kayak and small boat sailing to be able to have an adaptive dock put in place there and have a wheelchair access right down to the water from the launch area. So I recommend that we put that one on the board.
All right. So
can I make a motion to amend that? Because I also support that.
You can.
And I very much agree with Commissioner Bradshaw, what you said earlier about feasibility studies lead to better shovel-ready projects and more cost certainty in this application process. And it looks like there's only 2 feasibility studies that haven't been funded so far, and that is the Sheep Creek that Jason mentioned and the Salt Lake City Creek daylighting at Folsom Trail. And those 2 projects combined represent about $800,000. So if you're okay with that, Jason,
I actually will amend my motion to that effect and raise you the Fairview City Motocross Track Feasibility Study, which is not recommended, but it's one that's been in the media. It's a kind of a bummer story. They had a motocross track there in Fairview, and due to just dust problems, noise issues, the residents basically got it closed down. And so this would be a study to create a new one and replace that resource that was there in Fairview, which I think is really needed, and the community was really, especially the motocross community, was really unhappy about having to lose that, and they're excited about getting some form of replacement.
And Director Curry, if I can just give comment on that one, they failed to show up to their presentation, and we seemed that they have pulled that application.
Okay. Then I withdraw that and welcome the substitute motion. Yes.
All right. So the substitute motion is that we fund the Salt Lake City Creek Daylight at Folsom Trail Design and the where's the Sheep Creek?
Eastern 7.
And number 7, Sheep Creek non-motorized launch dock and ADA pathways
at the recommended value.
At the recommended rate. Is there a second or discussion to that motion? The second from Jerry Taylor. Is there any discussion? I have a question. What is the I'm trying to recall the Folsom Trail design. What is the purpose of that one?
Sure. So I can speak to this one. It's a so if you think about how City Creek Trail, the City Creek was channelized, covered over, in pipes, and then they brought City Creek, through Memory Grove, through, I can't remember what the name of the little park is, right at the corner of North Temple and State Street, and then it flows through City Creek Mall. So the idea is that there's Folsom Creek, and there's a paved pathway that Salt Lake City has been working on, and this would be kind of near the Power District, new ballpark development, that there is a creek there that you would bring back up to the surface, so it wouldn't just be buried and covered. If you're thinking maybe about both that Power District development, but also like if there might be any Olympic events down there, that could be one of those cool things about making that part of Salt Lake City, just really enjoyable and a way for that creek to come back up to the surface.
Got it. Follow-up question on that. That seems really cool, but how many miles of it would that be? Do we know?
It's like about 4 blocks, 5 blocks.
4 blocks.
And this is not the construction of it. This is the
the feasibility.
Yeah, the feasibility, the planning, how you would go about bringing it back up to the surface.
Yeah, I've got another hat on about thinking about getting water to the Salt Lake, and if we want to bring those things up to the surface, but it's not that much, I guess. We need to conserve water. I hear about it all the time. But I mean, it's okay. So just I was just wondering about that.
Yeah. So, but if you think about it in terms of just very similar to like that City Creek,
right? Yeah.
Coming back up to the surface and being, kind of part of a connected pathway park system.
So to beautify the neighborhood.
That neighborhood could use some
What's
love.
that?
That area could use some love.
Okay, got it. Got it. What was that?
It says it's going to get rid of the homeless encampment stuff too.
Okay.
Want to make them want to camp there?
No, well, there's going to be a little more restriction.
Okay.
Kate, can't they pull that money out of the ballpark tax? I'm just asking.
I think to continue it, they could have.
So I'll repeat what I just heard. So to get to the actual construction, I think you could pull that potentially out of the authority that's been created, the ballpark authority, whose official name I'm forgetting. But this would be to do the planning, and it does have probably some homeless overlaps. And if you beautify and improve that area, then hopefully you help that element move to other places, perhaps a significant campus that is being built much further west.
Right. So this seems like a cool project, but I'm kind of wondering if it has the outdoor recreation element that we're looking for from this committee. What do you think about that?
It would follow a paved trail that the Folsom Trail and I think it's called the 9-Line Trail, that are right there as well. So these are paved rather than dirt trails, but trails that are intended to connect people from the Jordan River Trail and other parks, so that they can get around without having to be in their cars.
Is it a walking trail, biking trail, all of the above?
Multi-use.
Multi-use paved.
Okay.
So I don't know if they've paved it in cement or asphalt, but
it'd be cool. Yeah, got it. Okay. So we had the motion. Did we have a second? I think we had the second. Is there any additional discussion to the motion? Okay, so the motion is that I'll put it to vote. The motion is that we add the Sheep Creek non-motorized launch dock and ADA pathways, which is number 7 in the eastern region, and the Salt Lake City Creek Daylight at Folsom Trail Design Feasibility and Study in Engineering, number 8 in the Wasatch region, to the board at their recommended award, which is let's see, what was that? $200,000 and $600,000 respectively. All in favor say aye.
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 And those against say no. I rule that passes unanimously. What does that put us at dollar-wise? All right, 20.5. Okay, so the Wasatch front looks like it's got about a quarter of it, Central a little bit more. Are there any small dollar amounts that we might get looks like we're working with about $500,000 now. There might be some small dollar things that we could get a good bang for the buck out of here.
I would like to look at one. In the Southwest region, we're kind of smaller on the percentage and on that pie chart. That Coal Creek Campground project, they've said they would accept a $500,000 award.
Okay. Is there any? Is there anything else that you'd like to? So the motion is that we add Coal Creek.
That would be my motion. It's a new campground that will be added near to Cedar City, but also near to, I think, three parks, and will help take the burden off other campgrounds and areas for visitors. I think the way if we do this partial funding, they would do some of the campground sites, just do it in phases.
Got it.
And I can add a little context on this one. The original recommendation was 500,000 was to kind of get half of it. But another, I think it was Washington County, reached out and said like, hey, we actually have revised our budget, and they were able to do a lot, the same with a lot less. So that remaining funding was just kind of allocated over to fully fund this. But initially coming out of ranking, it was at that 500 level.
Got it. So it's just over $1 million now, but $500,000 would be okay. That's what you're saying. Okay. So we have a motion to add number 7 in the southwest region, the Coal Creek Campground. That's a BLM in Cedar City thing for new infrastructure. For was your motion to do it for 500,000?
500,000.
500,000. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second. Kelly Goonan.
Kelly Goonan with the second. Thank you, Commissioner Goonan. Any discussion to the project, to the motion? Okay. I'm just going through and trying to look at see if there are any other small dollar amount things, but it looks like everything kind of left is high dollar.
I was going to ask, is the Grandview Park property acquisition, has that been
which one is that one in?
approved?
Which one?
It's number 9 in the northern, 550,000.
All right. That's another park, right?
But that can be a separate
Right.
a separate motion if needed.
Right. So if we do the 500,000 on the motion on the floor, then that would get us to 21. So this would potentially be the last one. Do we have much room to play with on that, Patrick?
I mean, technically, I maybe would advise against 500,000 worth to play with.
Sure,
if that
sure.
makes sense.
Got it. Okay. So can we look at can we compare the southwest region and the northern region? Can you tell us what those are funded at right now?
Yeah, so it
See from here.
looks like Southwest we have 3.559, and that is with the motion on the table, the 500,000.
Okay.
And you said the northern, and that's 2.6.
Okay. So it's at, what did you say the Southwest was at right now with the 500,000?
3.5.
3.5. So
double
without
check.
it is 3, and with it, and the other one is at 2.6. So if we did the Providence City one, that would make them both close to 3. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but again, the motion on the current motion is to fund the Coal Creek Campground. So I guess we can decide whether we want to do that or the park. So, if we want to make this the last motion, and we had a second. Any additional discussion?
I would just say, since I live in the region, I know the impact that the Coal Creek Campground would have. It's an area that's already being heavily used. We've seen a lot more camping happening up Highway 14 and then also around town locally. So it would be a really great improvement to a site that's already getting quite a bit of use.
Got it. Okay. And then, all right, is there any additional discussion to the motion? All right, if there's no additional discussion, I will put it to a vote. The motion on is that we fund item ranking number 7 in the Southwest region, which is the Coal Creek Campground, at $500,000. All in favor say aye.
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 And those against say no. I rule that passes unanimously. That puts us at just over $21 million. That gives us a little wiggle room to work with on other things. And it's been recommended we do not go above that, which I think is prudent. So can we look at the list as generated right now?
And I hope you can recommendations. Yeah, again, I'm happy to narrate a little bit. So Wasatch Front, it looks like all the recommendations did get awarded at their level, with an increase in Bluffdale and then the addition of the 27th Street Trailhead at their partial request. Southwest saw all of their recommended get awarded at almost all of them at the recommended award except for the Coal Creek. But again, that was kind of where the initial recommendation was, that same number. Central, the 5 projects all at their recommended level. Eastern, we have 7 coming in, almost, it looks like all at their level. And then Northern, we had 7 come in, with 1 reduction on the Little Creek Campground. And then plus the ORPA for 2.5 and then the 150,000 for Northwash.
Okay, I think that's pretty good work. I'll leave it open right now if anybody wants to make any additional motions on the funding. Doesn't look like anybody wants to. Then I'll look for a motion to, if somebody would like to make a motion to approve the list as we created it.
So moved.
All right. Okay. So the motion is that we approve the list as we created it. All in favor say, you know, let's make the lawyers happy on this one. We're going to do a voice vote since it's the final one. Is it? That's what we don't have to do it? All right, we're not going to do it. We're going to make her happy. So we're very agreeable here. So the motion is then that we approve the funding as we've created it at the $29,751.01 that we created. And is there any discussion to the motion?
Just a big thanks to all the members of the commission and staff for making this, I think, a really worthwhile and unlike any other process in the country for allocating recreation dollars. So thank you.
All right, we'll put that to a vote. All in favor say aye.
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 And those against say no. All right, I rule that passes unanimously. And yep, again, thank you to the director and his awesome staff for letting us help further these cool projects. And I'll look for one final motion. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 And those that say no. Okay. All right. Unanimously. Thank you.